Almost 1 in 2 Australians now believe nuclear power should be considered as an alternative to fossil fuels. It's a sign attitudes have changed since 2002, when the same survey found only 38% of Australians approved of nuclear power. Joining us now from the University of Melbourne is Dr. Roger Dargaville. Dr. Dargaville, thank you for your time. Well, this is an ongoing argument, and I guess people get animated either way. Does it surprise you that more people would warm to considering the use of nuclear power?
Not at all. I think nuclear power is one of the foremost options for producing electricity with lower carbon emissions. There are several countries around the world, France most noticeably, Japan, the USA, which produce significant amounts of their electricity from nuclear power with in very, very good safety records.
Yeah, can you take us through the scientific aspects? Is modern nuclear energy technology safe?
It's inherently safe. Everyone's aware of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986. That was using technology which is no longer used. There was no containment structure around the reactor, so when it overheated, a runaway reaction was caused. The new technology actually has safeguards built in such that if the reactor starts to overheat, it automatically shuts down. There's almost no way with current technology that a similar event could be repeated.
Can you see that there are any downsides though?
Oh, there are certainly downsides to nuclear energy. It's expensive. You do have to deal with the nuclear waste. You get about 25 tonnes of nuclear waste from a 1 gigawatt power station every year, which you have to process and deal with, contain safely, which is not an easy task, but we can manage to do that. And technologically, it's a challenge to build a nuclear power station to make sure it's very safe, and so it is expensive. It's more expensive than your traditional coal-fired power station, but it's less expensive probably than a coal-fired station built with carbon capture and storage. So economically, you'd expect that with a significant carbon trading system or a carbon tax, that nuclear would actually become favourable. That being said, of course, we don't currently have a nuclear industry in Australia, and to start one up would be very expensive. You'd expect at least double costs in the spin-up stage. And so when you're competing against coal and coal with carbon capture and storage, and the more and the newer forms of renewable energy such as wind and solar, I think it's unlikely, just from an economical point of view, that nuclear will actually become part of the solution.
Yeah, a lot to think about. Well, another poll out today says that fewer Australians are worrying about climate change, and many that are more concerned about the cost to them. So there's obviously a good deal of convincing still needed, isn't there?
I think that's true. It's very hard for the average person in the street to conceptualise what climate change actually means for them. And when you start talking about a financial cost to the solution, people are going to want to look another time at the science behind climate change and how certain we are that it's important that we act and move to a low-carbon economy. I think there's very little doubt, as the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change have demonstrated, that climate change is unequivocally due to human activity, and that we have to act to reduce our carbon emissions. There'll certainly be a lot more talk about this as time goes by, but I think the science will win out in the end.
All right, Dr. Roger Dargaville, we appreciate your insight on Sky News. Thank you.
My pleasure.